Good morning.
Sound of our teen sports listeners, I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m. Hey, beautiful Santa Barbara. You're turned into Teen Sports Radio, where we fuel the mind, the body, and the spirit with a whole lot of community love. I'm your host, Erica, your Queen of Teen, and today's show is a powerhouse of wisdom, rhythm, and delicious local flavor. So let's dive deep today. We're going to be we have a local celebrity in the house. We'll start off there. Namita, owner of Namita's Cuisine. She's the heart and hands behind the food that she cooks, the nutrition that she shares. She's our celebrity chef. I'm really excited that she's here today. She's going to be giving us a peek into what's fresh and what's local and what's cooking for the holidays. Then next up, we're going to have Ryan Quirk. He joins us with a conversation about Wu Wei. Ooh,
I like that.
Wei, effortless action. I'm looking forward to that. Then Sky Ellsworth, our new daddy in the house. Okay, he's going to break down cosmic dance between polarity and rhythm. All right. And then we're going to round it out with the hooga. All right, with Don Sanders, and he's probably just going to piggyback on whatever Sky says. So I'm really excited, and I'm very, very excited because today is what?
Election day.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Yes, Namita's in the house with us. She just popped in. How you doing, Namita? Have you voted yet?
Oh, I'm quite ready to vote. I got all my paperwork done. But it's wonderful to be here with the family of Teen Sports Radio. Thank you. Thank you for having me back again.
Of course, we love you. Also just popped in, Fit for Life, Alex Ramirez. How you doing, Alex?
Still getting set up.
Oh, okay. Don't you love it? What you do when you're doing the Zoom, right? So yes. You just can't even see. Yes. Dr. D, have you voted?
Matter of fact, and I know this will be controversial from one standpoint, I would encourage you to get out and vote early and vote often. But not really. Not really.
It's just really important because we don't take a posture. We don't take a posture on like who or what or where. We just want you to do it. You know,
get out there and have your voice heard.
We want you to do it. Yeah. So
anyway, we want the word of the youth out. We care for them. This is really, we're building this life for them because we've had some good moments and these are dodgy moments. So we want to give them a voice. Please vote.
Yes.
Oh, that's a lovely thing. That's a lovely thing to say, Namita.
It's their world.
Yes, it is. We just live in it.
Yes, we're guests.
That's what my father used to say. I grew up with that. It's my world. Look around. You see this? You just live here. I said, okay. I love that. Yeah, I actually passed it down to my kids. Maybe they'll probably pass it down to theirs. That'll be third generation then. I'm looking forward to it. So listen, who do we have? Dominique wants to give some love real quick. We got a minute.
Oh, I want to say a quick hello to Alex. Hey, Alex.
Good morning. How we doing?
Good. We were just encouraging everyone to vote. And to give some local love, I want to encourage everyone to go to the Santa Barbara Arts and Crafts Show. Do you know this is a beautiful thing about living in Santa Barbara? They do the Arts and Crafts Show on between Stearns Wharf and Calais Cesar Chavez Street on basically on the edge of the beach. If you've never been up here in Santa Barbara, it is amazing. It happens pretty much every Sunday. It happens on major holiday weekends, but it's about 10 a.m. to dusk. And it's a wonderful place because we get into November and December, you're thinking about gifts and stuff. And this way you get to see all the local artisans.
Right. And they have the same thing down. If you want to hoof down to Ventura, we don't care, but she's
go
right.
See your local.
Yeah. Buy from local craftsmen. That'd be a brilliant idea. Namita, who do you want to give a shout out to?
Well, there's so many things happening. I was just looking at the calendar of events in Santa Barbara and honestly, Erica, I can't keep up. We live in such a great town, like Dominique said. Pick up the Independent and see all that's going on till the fall, during the fall, and of course all the pumpkin patches I keep seeing everywhere. for the kids.
And the parents and the grandparents. And there's nothing like those hay rides. Okay.
But I do want to give a shout out to EDC working hard for our environment. And they're having their fundraising this evening at the Historical Museum. And I'm always, always grateful to this hardworking nonprofit in our town.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. All right, Alex, who do you want to give some love to?
Well, in the spirit of Halloween, I would say go out to Lane Farms, off of Patterson, off Turnpike and Patterson, the Magnolia Shopping Center. Go get your pumpkins over there. I've been going there for years. I get my trees there, pumpkins there. I love going out there to Lane Farms. And then they have that really cool maze as well. So it's really fun with the kids.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I mean, to plan that out every year, you've got to plant the corn in a certain way and just do the whole thing. It's really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Super, super, super. Okay, well, we got Ryan and Sky in the house, and they're all looking at me, but we're going to start off first with Namita right after these messages. We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Well, hi, everyone. So my name is Namita, and as you know, I specialize in incorporating my healing spices to local seasonal cuisine in Santa Barbara. And this is my favorite time of the year. It's not just creative in terms of, carving pumpkins and, like Dominique said, creating artwork, but more so in the kitchen. There is so much to create with colors, the greens, the oranges, all my favorite colors. Interestingly enough, I think I was talking to you once, Erica, about the intelligence behind the colors of the food that tells you what they're good for. So orange is really anti-inflammatory. So isn't it interesting that the earth is giving us so many orange pumpkins?
Wow.
So, the intelligence of the earth works with us, and we should embrace these offerings that are coming. And maybe even I encourage to tweak the creativity behind your Thanksgiving dishes. This is a great time to do some trials, try out your dishes before bringing it to the celebration at the table with your family and friends. For example, every fall I work with cranberry chutney just to give it a twist to the regular cranberry. For my vegan peeps, we work with a butternut squash pumpkin with coconut milk and garbanzo beans to give the proteins. So there is so much fun you can have in the kitchen with these veggies nowadays, meaning now in the fall.
Oh, you're making me so hungry.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, all these dishes, all these veggies offered to us in the fall are very nurturing in taste so that we can hibernate in our houses. Isn't that interesting how everything just flows so naturally and we forget?
Yeah. And I really want to encourage the teens. What Namita's suggesting is tune into the season, and nature is telling you what will nurture you.
Exactly. Never better said, Dominique. That's exactly it. And who doesn't like nurturing? November, December, January. It's all about eating warming food, celebrating, and surrounding ourselves with warmth in every way.
Yeah, Alex, that Thanksgiving's like your favorite holiday, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because I get to eat so much.
Free day. Our trainer, Fit for Life, he has one free day a year.
Yeah, you got to earn it though. Yeah, you got to do some work and then go train. But yeah, you got to incorporate some kind of greens, veggies, salads, mix it up. Yeah, I mean, don't just get stuck on one thing. There's a lot of things that are going to be ready for the upcoming season. So yeah, pumpkins are always great. Oranges. The universe provides, the world provides. So get out there, try new recipes. Don't be afraid of the vegan recipes, because I did that for a while, and you can still create delicious foods or food meals with vegan foods.
Exactly. And Namita, I've seen a purple sweet potato.
Oh my goodness, they are so good. Where are they selling them now? Where did you see them?
I picked one up at Lawson's, and Lazy Acres too.
Okay, yeah, aren't those the Japanese potatoes?
I believe so. Yep.
Those are so easy to make. You just pop them in the oven and they become so creamy and yummy and super, super high in vitamins, the purple.
Woo! Hey, all right, we're going to leave it on that sweet potato, okay? Yes. Well, listen, we got some commercials coming up, so we're going to be right back to you after these messages. We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back, Teen Sports Radio listeners. My name is Ryan Quirk, here with another self-mastery story. And today I want to talk about something that may seem counterintuitive to what I talked about last week, which is the consistency and the importance of the consistency of action, and how action is much more important than just knowledge. Knowledge is only power and potential, but until we apply it and put it into action, do we get actual results in our lives. However, this week I want to talk about something slightly different, something that kind of pulls from the Eastern teachings of Zen, which I applied as a hockey player and as an athlete to greatly improve my mental performance when playing hockey. And that is the art of calming the mind, not overthinking. Another way of saying this is the art of flow, or as it's sometimes referred to, wu-wei, effortless action. Now, this may seem a little, Eastern philosophy, because it is. However, I'm going to tie it in and relate it to hockey, which is my sport, but specifically if you're a young athlete or an athlete in general, if you're just a listener out there, you can tie this into very, very practical aspects of life, whether, you don't have to be a Buddhist or anything to apply some of these ideas and some of these mindset shifts. And so what I want to talk about is what I went through when I broke my arm, and specifically when I was in the process of recovery from my broken arm. So when I broke my arm, I was playing very competitive hockey in high school, and I was looking to make a travel team, broke my arm, had to miss a lot of the season. And during the rehab process, I kind of thought to myself, if I just train harder, if I just go for more runs, train my legs, do more of my rehab exercises, more, that was somehow going to get me where I needed to go. But what I was really doing is I was moving from a place of fear. I was moving from a place of fear that if I didn't do more, I wouldn't end up where I wanted to be, which was ultimately fully healed and playing the sport that I loved again. And this attitude of constantly doing more actually kind of backfired in a certain way. Now, this does not mean that we cannot and should not be consistent in our lives, whether it's a path of recovery, healing, training for a sport, or any other practical endeavor. However, I wasn't really in the state that we sometimes call the zone or the flow. It's that state that an athlete reaches when they're in a state of peak performance where they're not really thinking anymore. Their body's still sweating, their muscles are still contracting, they're still moving, but there's no analytical thought process there. It's almost as if they are one with their actions or one with the game itself. And so what I thought is that if I just went into a state of paralysis by analysis, and I just overanalyzed every single step of my recovery and forced myself to rehab even when it was painful and even when it was, maybe not what I needed, when more of what I needed was rest, that I would somehow recover faster. And this, of course, backfired. I ended up tiring out and getting some tendonitis in my wrist from all the work that I was doing to rehab. And that was when I came across the practice of meditation. And I realized that maybe one of the most dedicated, hardworking athletes of all time, Kobe Bryant, actually went to go study under Buddhist monks in the Eastern world, and I believe it was, might have been India, might have been a different country. Regardless, he went to go study under Buddhist monks, and he learned to calm his mind and find stillness. So this was a guy who trained 6+ hours a day, and yet even he had the time to go find stillness, peace, relaxation, to calm his mind, relax his body. And I realized, man, if Kobe Bryant is going to do that, maybe I need some more of that. I've been feeling really mentally stressed out and tired about this recovery process. So what I did was I stopped worrying about it. I relaxed. When I noticed myself get anxious or tense, I just started to focus on my breath, calm back down. I took up a meditation practice, and I still did my rehab exercises, did them diligently, did them consistently, but I flowed with them more. I stopped overthinking about them. I stopped overthinking about when the exact date of recovery, full recovery would be, and I just kind of lost myself in the flow, lost myself in the daily small steps towards recovery without forcing, without putting myself through more pain, but just with consistent action that almost in a way felt effortless. I was still taking the proper actions every day, but because I wasn't overthinking, wasn't stressing, I had a lot more mental and emotional energy freed up to actually focus on just executing what I needed to execute. And so it was funny, I thought that by overthinking and thinking about my challenge more, that I would somehow solve it quicker, when in reality, the opposite was the truth. And I think this shows in a lot of our lives. If overthinking was the solution to all of our problems, nobody would have any problems because everybody tends to overthink. And really, that's not the case. However, when we look at people who are maybe elite athletes or great inventors, they often talk about this state of flow or being in the zone, of actually stepping outside of normal daily thought processes and opening their mind to a new way of thinking, or even better than that, no thinking, just for a little while. No thinking and just letting the mind rest in a state of stillness and calmness. And maybe you've experienced this in your life. Maybe you can think of a time where you were playing your sport, having a really good game, or maybe it was a different moment. Maybe if you're a parent listening to this, it was a moment with a child. Maybe it was, a moment with an animal, whatever it was, a moment in nature where the mind just quieted down. There was a sense of calmness and stillness and relaxation that wasn't the antithesis of effort or action, but actually was the foundation which allowed the best actions to flow naturally from you. I think we've all experienced this, and so that's what I wanted to speak about today in my self-mastery segment. And long story short, when I began this meditation practice and I relaxed deeper, relaxed more, and stepped into this state of flow, I naturally began to see much quicker healing than I had when I was in a state of over-analyzing my situation, over-efforting instead of simply taking the actions that. And so I think it's really important to realize that as athletes or as human beings, it's important to not only work harder, but to also work smarter. And I think we can learn a lot from an athlete like Kobe Bryant, who would, again, often train 6+ hours a day. Not that everyone can do that, but trained very, very often throughout the day, but also found time for peace and stillness and meditation and relaxation. And that helped him probably attain these flow states, these states of being in the zone, being totally focused, being totally locked in, where the mind is no longer in the way. We're not overanalyzing ourselves, not judging ourselves, not looking down upon our performances, whatever they were. We become one with the action. We become calm, open, and serene. And so that led to the ultimate healing of my arm, my reemergence into playing hockey again and having a few more very successful seasons. And it led to a different passion of mine, which is now mindfulness, psychology, meditation, science, kind of combining all these different factors to really understand what makes peak performance, what makes what I would call a self-mastered individual. And so if you're interested in these self-mastery stories and you're interested in my work, my name is Ryan Quirk. You can find all of my stuff at my website, RQ, that's my initials, RQ for Ryan Quirk, rqselfmastery.com, rqselfmastery.com. I work with young athletes. I work with people of all ages as well. That's where you can find my book, The Journey of Self-Mastery, and it's where you can find more about me. And so I'll leave you with this parting thought, which is, where is an area of life that you've been too hyper-fixated on the problem and could maybe use a little more calmness, because I guarantee you that when you find that calmness, the solution might find you easier than you think. Thank you for listening, and I'll hand it back.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio, everyone. This is Sky Ellsworth, and I'm a student at Life Chiropractic College West, and I am coming to you live from the East Bay, and I am thrilled to talk with you today about one of my favorite topics, which is polarities and rhythms. And wow, what are polarities and rhythms, and how could you possibly be more vague? Well, polarities and rhythms are what life is all about. Life is made up of all of these different moments. Sometimes those moments lend towards a more stable rhythm, and sometimes those moments lend to periods of instability. And what really defines us and our ability to grow is what we choose in those moments. The vast majority of people will experience instability and immediately go and find stability again. And to some extent, that's a good thing. But what we really want to see is individuals having enough energy available to be able to lean into those periods of instability to create growth and higher levels of organization. So what does that mean when it comes to our lives, when it comes to our nervous systems? What are these rhythms really about? And when are these moments when I'm supposed to choose stability or instability? So let's talk about health for a minute. Health is, obviously, as a chiropractic student, it's one of my favorite topics and has been, I guess, my entire life. When it comes to health, let's say that you have someone, maybe yourself, for instance, who's experiencing something where, I don't know, maybe you get headaches regularly. Maybe you always feel anxious, or you always feel depressed, right? It's a chronic state. It's something that is not just fleeting and happens once every couple of years or once a year or so, but it's something that you experience regularly. There's a pattern that's formed, and the pattern hasn't broken. So what do? Well, in those moments, you want to introduce instability. So there's a stable rhythm that's happening, but it's not a favorable rhythm. So at that moment, we would introduce some sort of variable, or you would want to introduce some sort of instability, or what very often happens is life introduces it for you. But the idea is that you want to be able to lean into it. You want to be able to lean into that instability temporarily. You're not always unstable. You want to lean into that instability temporarily to allow growth. And that could be, let me think of something in school. Maybe you have a new position that you have to play on the field, and you haven't played that position before, and you're nervous about it. So you'd rather play the position that you're more comfortable with, the one that you're used to, and the one that you're already good at. Well, maybe to break that pattern, that chronic pattern, you might want to lean into that instability and choose something that's not comfortable. And leaning into that temporary instability will actually allow you to attain a higher level of stability eventually. That edge of stability and instability is when growth happens. And how much you learn from that is equivalent to how much you grow. So what happens if it's the other way? What happens if there's too much instability? And this can be when you have episodes of something. So, again, when it comes to using health as an example, if you're experiencing something where you feel like, I don't know, maybe you get this massive migraine, and it's only happened just this once, and you don't know what to do. Or maybe to give more of a life example, something happens. You have a family member that is unexpectedly sick or passes away, or maybe you have a friend who's going through a hard time, or maybe you suffer a breakup, right? These are things that don't happen chronically, but it's an acute situation. When you have something like that, you want to be able to immediately come back to a sense of stability. So when you're experiencing something like that, you want to go towards that place of comfort. And again, it's that constant dance between stability and instability. And we always want to be teetering on that edge. We always want to be able to experience more higher levels of stability and greater levels of instability so that we can achieve those higher levels of organization. So for an example from my own life, as I mentioned on the show last week, we just had a baby. So, wow, that is a massive amount of instability that happens all at once. But what comes with finding stability with that? When you become a parent all of a sudden, you have all of these new things that you have to do, but eventually you get used to it and you fall into a pattern. And then, of course, the baby, because they're growing, will change up that pattern again and throw more instability at you. But as you do these things, you learn to be able to, in this particular case, you learn to be able to handle higher levels of stress. You learn to multitask better. So my point is when life throws you an instability, that's awesome. That's great. You want to lean into that temporary discomfort, because eventually you'll find that stable ground again, but it's a higher level of stability than where you were before. And as you progress throughout life, those instabilities will become more and more significant. And that sounds a little bit scary, yes. But, or I should say, and when you experience that instability at a higher level, all of a sudden the amount of stability that you can experience, what's possible in your life, the more that you get to experience and the more that you get to bring others is up a whole nother level, a level that you couldn't even dream of. And that's where magic really happens. So my advice to you is to think about this as you're going throughout school, as you're going throughout your lives, or even in small situations when you're out there playing on the field or arena, well, whatever it is. Think about, are you in a moment, are you at a time in your life of stability, right? Are you at a time in your life of instability? And if you're at a time of stability, how can you maybe intentionally introduce a little bit of instability so that you can evolve and grow to a higher degree? If you're feeling instability, how can you bring some comfort to yourself to find that stable ground again? And then when you're ready, then you find that instability again to introduce so that you can continue to grow. Life is not about finding comfort. It's about leaning into the uncomfortable so that you can experience more. When you lean into the comfortable, nothing ever happens. Nothing changes. You've netted out your energy at neutral. When you choose instability and you achieve that higher level of organization, eventually you get to a point of energy richness where you can more easily adapt to higher energy states. And when you're in higher energy states, you can do more. You can give more. More becomes possible for you and the other people in your sphere that you interact with. And then all of a sudden, you're interacting with and affecting the whole world. That's when you do that one little thing, or you say that one perfect thing to someone at just the right moment, in just the right time, and that thing changes that person's life forever and everyone that person comes into contact with. And then it just ripples out and you create magic. And all of a sudden, without even knowing it, you change the world. So, again, stability and instability, polarities, rhythms. What is it all about? What's the rhythm of your life right now? And how can you bring a new awareness to the rhythm that you're currently experiencing in your life? And how can you refine that edge that you're teetering on? How can you refine that edge to where you're just balancing on a thread? You're a tightrope walker, right? Hovering on that edge of stability and instability, constantly experiencing new levels of growth, new levels of energy, new levels of adaptability for your body, for your lives, for every person you come into contact with. This is where the magic is. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next week on Teen Sports Radio.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
For Teen Sports Radio, I'm Don Sanders, donsmassageohi.com, 805-236-2684, here to bring you a hygge, a Scandinavian term for a comfy, cozy feeling that feels like receiving a hug without actually receiving the actual hug. And going off for all you teens out there and oldsters too, I'm going to go off, Sky Ellsworth's instability and stability ideas here today with some of my own. In the Roaring 20s, the 1920s, there was excessive display of wealth, like football-length parties and people dressed up fine with chocolate fountains and whatnot, while just a short distance away, there was people living in cardboard lean-tos and mud flats. So we're coming up on the Roaring 20s, it's 20s now, and you can see a lot of ostentatious display of wealth. There's billionaires that are shooting rockets into subspace that are shaped like a man's private parts. There's all sorts of things going on that display a great deal of excess. So I look for in the 60s, in about another 40 years, probably, if not sooner, people are going to get fed up with it. Like the haves and the have-nots and all that kind of thing. But I was thinking back, in the 8th grade, I had befriended a girl in my English class sitting next to me who had a bandaged wrist. And I found out later she had tried to harm herself. And so advice also to you teens is, you can befriend somebody like that and try and encourage him, but don't think you'll be the one that fixes them. That was my lesson from that, because it's very hard to know what somebody's going through. Like I say, there's tremendous wealth inequality. There was back then too in the Bay Area that I was growing up in, and you never know what that person next to you is dealing with. And if you decide to befriend them and there's inconsistencies in the way they behave, don't take it personally. They're going through your stuff, and as Sky Ellsworth said, you're maybe spinning around in a little bit of instability after you experience some stability, and you're just growing. You're going on to the next thing. And in that light, I'm going to involve the team here. My mentor, Daisaku Ikeda, for 70 years, he died at 95 just a couple years ago. He was working to inspire people to be happy, to help others, and as president of our worldwide World Peace Organization and Buddhist organization, the Soka Gakkai International, he was a spiritual leader for literally millions, and he'd reached into all kind of cultures and eras to find examples of things to encourage people and to encourage people from all walks of life. So he wrote this book called 201 Ideas to Help You Shine. You're a genius at something. So for the team here, I'm going to, like Christine will pull a card out of her deck. There's 4 categories here: hopes and dreams, doing good, overcoming adversity, and building character. Somebody pick one.
Building
hopes
character.
And dreams.
Oops, all right, hopes and dreams. I'll take a second.
You want to go hopes and dreams? Okay, I'm going to open to hopes and dreams. All right, and even if you take a long roundabout way to get there, what matters is that you succeed in crossing the finish line in the end.
I love it. The turtle wins the race. Yeah. That's one of my favorite sayings.
And then, I wrote a spin-off book. I haven't published it yet, but with that. And actually, the turtle's name is Nico, one of my our exchange students, because that's exactly the journey that he chose. He was like, let's took it. Actually, he came over to this country, couldn't even speak English. I mean, this kid has done it. He's graduated from UC Irvine. He's back. He's got a great job in China right now. And actually, he ended up graduating before all of his friends.
So teens, middles, and oldsters, look for these kind of stories. They're right in your own neighborhood. And you can take courage and take inspiration from these things that'll help you along your way, because we never stop growing. That's one thing I took away from Sky's segment. We never stop growing. We should never just stagnate and stop growing. So one thing he doesn't hear sometimes is when he quotes the famous, he'll have a little reference to him in the back. So for instance, Shakyamuni Buddha said, "Be lamps unto yourselves, rely on yourselves." Then you go in the back and it says, Shakyamuni Buddha, or Gautama Buddha, was the spiritual leader whose teachings are the foundation of Buddhism. Born a prince, he renounced the secular world to find spiritual enlightenment. After his awakening, he traveled widely to share his wisdom, teaching people how to unleash their own potential and bring peace and happiness in their lives. Supposedly he was always on the move except for the big heavy rain monsoon season in India.
Whoa.
And
That's awesome.
He was walking everywhere barefoot. So he had some big old tough hobbit feet. Anybody else?
Yeah. I just think this whole thing went, and I'll be straight. When I first heard it, when he was talking about the stability versus instability before he actually did a segment today, it needed to ferment a little bit. I get it now because it's just like anything when kids our athletes go through injury, or maybe they got cut from a team, or if something major happened. You just have to always focus. It's so uncomfortable, especially when you're growing, you've got hormone shifts, you got everything else going on in your life, but you have to look at it. It's just that your perception, you have to perceive, it's always protection. That's how I really, when I hear stories of kids and the challenges that they have to face, I always have them try to find the light.
Yeah.
Dominique,
well, Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team.
Sure.
And look where he ended up.
Right.
And LeBron James, starting at 17 in the NBA, now he's 40. He's already broken the all-time scoring record. And every time he plays a game, he's just getting that record pushed further and further, up there to where, it'll take something really exceptional for somebody else to break it. And he's still playing high level at 40 years old.
Right. No, I know that he's your guy.
Well, he's one of them.
Yeah, I know.
And he spends about $1.25 million or something like that on his body every year to keep it going.
Right.
Anybody else want to hopes and dreams, doing good, overcoming adversity, or building character?
Building character.
Building character. Okay. All right. Will you take a step forward, or will you be content to stay where you are now? Everything in your life is determined by that. Now, how in line with what Richard said is that?
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And what's interesting is you can't actually stand still.
No.
Because change is the constant in the universe, and everything is in motion. Eventually, you will take a step. Maybe only one, but you will take a step forward. You will continue to move, even if it's just up here in your head, your thoughts, your imagination, and so forth. Hopefully, that inspires you to take physical action in that regard.
And the thing is I always address it in this way too, because it's normal to be afraid. So just dive deep down on that fear.
Yeah.
Because when you get through that, there's always a clearing. There's always a pasture. There's always a green field.
That's right.
But you just have to do the work, because you could sit in fear. That's why the amount depression and everything else that's going on in these kids there, it's huge. The increase.
It is.
Right.
It's huge. And I don't know how to, I'm talking about these figures have doubled. Teen suicide, depression, everything for teen athletes have doubled over the last decade. So we need to look at that. I just don't think now, because I read these pills that my friends' kids, I read. I said, have you actually read this? I mean, it says suicidal tendencies on here. Why would you give your kid, this is even asthma medicine. Okay, all kinds of drugs that kids are taking right now, their side effects, and we really need to look at that. And when a kid is down in the dumps, my avenue was, the first thing was acupuncture. Then I would do therapy. The last place that I would go, honestly, is to medicine. I usually got fixed before I ever needed to go see a doctor for the medicine, but that was my way. I want to circle
back to what Dr. D said. It's not enough teens, middles, or oldsters to just think about something, that formulate an idea for something good to do and not take action. You got to take action, because I never gave myself any time for creative things, because there was work, and then there's, I have physical work, so I have to take care of my body. So I never felt like I had any time for creativity. In the last year, almost every day I've practiced guitar. And sometimes when I show up for an online lesson, they say put in at least 10 minutes, and a lot of times it's more. But sometimes it just does not sink in. And that I used to confuse that when I was younger with like, oh, I guess I don't have any aptitude for whatever it is, computers or whatever, because this is just going right over my head. But let it sink in and just keep coming back. And whether it's, calculus problems or whether it's a sports move or whatever it is, keep coming back and taking action.
Definitely. Dominique.
I love it. And the big thing is the movement. I know with Buddhism and any practice that has meditation, we talk about transcending the current moment. So I think that's part of the stability, instability, and it encompasses everything that Dawn's been talking about, that we're always in movement. We're always changing. If we're sleeping, we need to get up. If we've done a lot of activity, we need a rest. We're always looking for those transitions where we are transforming ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's really awesome. That makes me think of, there is one tarot card called the Temperance card, where there's I think it's the Archangel Gabriel with 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the land, in 2 worlds at one time, right? Balancing those 2 worlds, and at the same time balancing light and dark. And when I talk, like pouring 1 cup into the next cup all the time, so doing all of that kind of balancing in that place. And it's kind of interesting because I talk about that, saying balance is not stasis. Balance is the capacity to respond appropriately in any moment.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. How are we doing on time?
Oh, guess what? They want to do a wrap up, and that's where I come in and saying, wow, I really love this discussion we had today. Thank you, Sky Ellsworth. It's all about the stable and unstable state, which is a game changer for our athletes. So it's important to understand the shift between these states and embrace that movement so we can help build resilience, adaptability, and peak performance. So a big thank you to Sky Ellsworth and all my co-hosts today. God bless Santa Barbara. Hug it out this week. See you next week.